Okay, so you've landed on this page once you've opened up AutoCAD. We've made some changes up here in under the A here. You've changed the units. You've got a black screen, for instance. So you've basically sort of set up the drawing as such. So now you need to know about the tools. So you can just see here I flipped that. So there's a whole lot of tabs here, and I just flipped the tab over to Home. So Home is where you find all the basic tools that you'll need for your drafting, whenever you're drafting. So this here, this black space that you're in, is called model space, and you're drawing or you're drafting into your model space. And these tools here, these are all the things that you'll actually need to use or tools that you'll need to draft in. You can come up here and actually click on these and then start drawing. Equally, you can type the command in. You can type line in, for instance, and it's a shortcut. Type L in, enter, and it'll come up with line, and you can draw a line. So it's just very quickly brief explanation there. So as you'll see, there's all these tabs like I touched on before. Insert comes up with a whole lot of different sort of tools, for want of a better word, that you can use. So these are used for when you're creating blocks, and we'll get into blocks further down the track. Annotate, this is when you're for text and for dimensions. So this is where you need to be in for creating that kind of thing. But mostly you're here in the Home tab here. So okay, so you're in the Home tab, and just take you around the drawing here. You've got this little panel down the side here. It always sits at the side, and if you hover over the top, it actually tells you what these little things are for. So this is a full navigation wheel for 3D experience. Okay, this here is the pan tool, and it moves the screen around. So you click and you're able to move the screen around. That's basically, really, out of all of that there, the pan tool is the one that you'll be using. Then you've got down here, this is what you call a status bar, and you'll see that we're in model, what we call model space. And over here, like I just hovered over, it says model or paper space. When you're first drawing, you'll be in model space, and you can see down the bottom here, there's a tab here, it says model space. Yes, that's the space you're in. Equally, you can change those spaces if I just hover over it, and that's a layout space, or another word is paper space, and that is for when you're plotting off a drawing. So back to this here, this status bar here, you can see that they're either blue or grey. Blue is when they're on, and you can see when I've hovered over that, it says display grid on, so it means it's on. That means this background grid is on. When I click on it, I've turned it off. There it is, back on again. So whenever it's blue, it's on. When it's grey, it's off. Okay, we've got something called Ortho Mode. Ortho Mode is very handy when you only want horizontal and vertical lines only. It's a really good status to have on. And you have this thing here called Object Snaps. This is something that's also equally useful. You can see a little arrow, down arrow there. Click on that there, and it has a whole lot of different types of points that can be ticked. So you can see my end point, my midpoint, and my center point is ticked. So whenever I'm making a drawing and I want to close off a drawing, it'll click back to the end point. If I want to find the center of the drawing, I've got my midpoint on, so it'll always find the center of a line or a center of a circle, etc. Or midpoint, and then also the center. Sorry. This here, 1-to-1, it should always stay as 1-to-1. It should never move from that. So this always should be 1-to-1. Then you've got a command line here, like I was talking about earlier. When you type in line, it'll come up with your command or the next thing that you need to do. So you always need to read this command line. It's always really important that you just look down here and read what it says, because it's basically prompting you for the next thing to do. Talked about these here, model and layout, and then here you've got properties. So this is telling you the properties of your drawing space that you're in right now. So you can tell, you can sort of see here what color you're drawing in, what layer you're drawing in, the line type, the weight, etc. So we'll get into more detail around layers and colors, etc. down the track. You'll also be able, this properties also tells you the height and the width of your lines, etc. that you're drawing in. So it's a really useful panel to have to be in, and this always sits here on the left hand side of your drawing.